So welcome to tonight's talk, which is about right view and how we can find refuge in our daily lives and in the chaotic world and the world of conflict right now with right view, and also how right view can also be the perspective of awakening. So views include opinions, beliefs, values, theories and philosophies. And in my view, they also include a perspective of awakening, an insight or a vision of awakening. So everyone has views, and we always tend to think our views are right. And if someone's not in line with our view, then they're wrong. So there's a sutta called the Sabbasava Sutta, and it translates as all of the fermentations, the outflows. And the Buddha spoke about views that people hold about the self as a thicket of views, a wilderness of views, a contortion of views, a writhing of views, a fetter of views. Bound by a fetter of views, the uninstructed run-of-the-mill person is not free from birth, aging and death, from sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress and despair. He is not free, I tell you, from suffering and stress. And I think we could say dukkha as I don't know who gave that translation, I'll look it up later, but sometimes Thanissaro translates dukkha as stress. So wrong views can include seeing things as permanent that are not permanent, seeing things as self that are not self, and seeing things bringing enduring happiness that cannot bring enduring happiness. In other words, wrong view is the opposite of seeing things as they are. One way we understand the way things are is as the conditions of existence, as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca meaning impermanence, dukkha meaning unsatisfactoriness or unreliability or uncertainty, or just the fact that there's no enduring happiness in dukkha. And anatta means not self, or sometimes it's understood as emptiness, meaning there's no substantiality, there's that one cannot, how can you describe not self? That there's no thing in all this. There's no single independent thing in existence. So wrong view also includes the understanding, the thought that actions don't have consequences, that we can literally get away with murder, that what we do doesn't have an impact on the world and everything around us. So right view could be understood as, it is understood as the first factor on the Eightfold Path, the Eightfold Path, which is the fourth truth. The four truths, of course, are that there is dukkha, there is origins of dukkha, there is freedom from dukkha, there is the release of dukkha, there is freedom from it, and then there is a path to awaken to freedom. And that path is the Noble Eightfold Path. And traditionally, right view is the first factor. And the other factors, of course, are right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort or energy, right mindfulness, and right samadhi or concentration. And these factors are often considered like spokes in a wheel. They're all depend on each other, they all support each other, and they are combined with each other in order to give each other strength and balance. Often they're depicted as a wheel, like spokes on a wheel, 8 spokes on a wheel, and if there's one spoke missing, then the wheel's not going to roll smoothly. So they're considered as spokes on a wheel, and the wheel is turning towards liberation, rolling towards liberation. So the term right usually refers to kind of like the right direction versus the wrong direction. If you're having wrong view, for example, you're going in the wrong direction to awakening. The term right is a translation of the term Sama. Another way Sama could be understood to include complete, authentic, fully, skillful, appropriate, or correct. And yet another way Sama could be understood, and I got this from Venerable Jayasaro in his biographical text of Achan Cha. And another way you can understand it is in harmony with the way things are. In harmony with the way things are. So these interdependent factors are considered, and I'm just going to quote Bhikkhu Bodhi here, comparable to the intertwining strands of a single cable that requires the contributions of all the strands for maximum strength. So what I was saying before is that they all work together in a way that leads to liberation. And right view is the first factor. And in my view, if you have that first factor in line with reality, then all the other factors fall into place. You could say conversely, as long as you have right mindfulness or another factor, for example, any factor along this path, it'll all fall into place. But traditionally it's put as the first factor. And what's really interesting is that this first factor, when we understand that actions have consequences, that all things are impermanent, not self, and dukkha in their nature, then we act in a way that is aligned with the reality of things. So we have, one way you can understand this Eightfold Path, when we have a good view of things, when we have a realistic perspective on things, I'm talking about things in the world, our daily lives, then we're more able to make decisions or intentions intentions or decisions that are in alignment with our perspective, in alignment with the way we see things. Then we act in alignment with the way we see things, and also with our wisdom and our best intentions. So that is speech, action and livelihood. And then when we have the composure of acting ethically, we act ethically with right speech and right action and right livelihood. When we have the composure of acting ethically, we are more able to put forth the energy, which is sometimes translated as courageous effort, because it takes courage to look at ourselves and see ourselves. We're more able to put forth courageous effort to be mindful, to be aware. And when we're aware and our attention comes together, our mind comes together and unifies, there's this growing and a production of wisdom. So this goes around in a circle. When we practice just at an ordinary everyday level, that practice of beginning with the right view and all the other factors are lining up, we can have a deep peace and a deep confidence in our decisions, in our lifestyle. And when we're confronted by making decisions about big things in life, and I know that I know maybe I'm like the rest of you, I'm really concerned about the way the world is right now. We have conflicts, we have climate change, we have politics, and there's a push for us to take one side or the other, for us to make an opinion, to make decisions about things. When we have right view, which naturally aligns with right ethics, then we can rest assured, we can rest with confidence, we can be at peace, we can find a refuge in our right view. Because when actions have consequences, right view understands that actions have consequences, that there is karma, that no matter what we do, there's something going to occur as a result of what we do. There's when this is, that is. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that is not. With the ceasing of this, that ceases. This is a description, a very simple description of dependent arising, which is the reality of conditionality. When we see that, and we can see that as long as we act wholesomely, then we can be at peace. We're not going to be creating unwholesome results. So right view can be a very powerful refuge. I had one of my clients actually say to me the other day, she said, as long as you got right view and you're maintaining ethics, that blamelessness of ethics, people could be pointing guns at you and you could remain calm because you know you're doing the right thing. So when we practice that basic daily action, what I would call ennobling, the ennobling Eightfold Path, which relates to all sorts of everyday things. When we practice that, and it's ennobling in that it's maybe we're not realizing nibbana, but we're on the path to realizing nibbana, we're acting ethically and so on. When we do that, we begin to practice. And we begin to see the way things are, where we have the stability to look into things deeply. And we develop vipassana, or insight. And I think this insight is also right view. It's like it's the first factor on the path, and it goes round, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, and then the next factor is right view again. So it's this, like I was saying before, it's like this wheel that's rolling towards awakening. And it gives us the possibility to see into things as they actually are. Reality of things. Dependent arising, for example. And emptiness. The fact that there's no thing in all this. When we start to have this perspective of right view, which is like the final, it's the final step on the path, but it's also the beginning of the path. It's just this constant going around. When we see emptiness, we see there's no thing in all this. We don't thingify things. Rather, we see streams of dependently arising processes interacting, or sotapai, that's a term that Lee Brasington has spoken. These streams of dependently arising processes interacting. So we see these things, we see that there's no thing in all this, and we see directly through our self-concepts, this created fiction of a being here, a self here, doing all this. And we wake up. And we have the perspective of awakening. And we see clearly that there is just this. Everything else is a story. Everything else is a fiction. It's a mental creation. I think that's a hard hard realization to come to because we're so ingrained in looking at the world as solid and lasting. And I'm sitting here in this room and I'm calling it a room, and I know back down over that direction there's a house and I call that home, and I know I'm going to work tomorrow. But really, when I look at that, when I stop, be present, see deeply into things, see the way everything is, it's just a mental creation. It's just a story. So, what else have I said here? So I think, in my view, I think that not only can right view provide a point of stability and a refuge in the ways we respond to the madness of the world right now, to the violence and the destruction and the contortion of views, but it is also the final step on the path to complete awakening. But it doesn't stop there, it just keeps going. But we can bring that perspective of awakening, which is right view, to our life, to everything. So with the view or the perspective of awakening, we can step off the wheel of samsara. So thank you for listening to my views, and may we all be free from a thicket of views, a wilderness of views, a contortion of views, a writhing of views, a fetter of views, and realize nibbana. Thank you very much.